What's up, people? I apologize. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. I deeply apologize. I literally was talking for the last 10 minutes and I wasn't even live. And I'm like, I'm live. Nobody's coming through. What's going on here? My apologies. Oh my gosh. This is the wonders of doing multiple shows back to back. But I deeply apologize, people. Again, it's your boy MM2K. We're back again with another SLS feature in MM2K. Golly. Let me go back to Twitter and let people know that we're live. Ooh wee. My apologies. Okay, hold on. Let me do this. We are live. Come on. We are live. Can I find mine? Nope. I'm never gonna. You know what pisses me off about Twitter is okay, that's community. I don't want that shit. Oh, excuse me. I gotta remember. Oops. I'm sorry. This is not sound off anymore. My apologies. Okay, let me see. We are live. My apologies. Now, what threw me off too, and y'all would have heard it, is my wife called me in the middle. Once I went live, my wife called me and asked me about some damn recycling bags. Well, I don't know if these are the right. I'm like, man, if you don't just get some blue transparent bags, I'm live. You know, like, come on, help a brother out. But yeah, my apologies, y'all. So we're live now. Tweet this out. Let everybody know. We appreciate it. We got some great conversation for you. As a matter of fact, let me pull up, because I got a crap load of questions here too, that I want to ask everybody. Here we go. So we're going to start off with this question. Okay. So, before I ask this question, I just want to remind people that, again, don't forget, if you want the latest and greatest in Stadia news, go over to StadiaDosage.com. Our senior editor there, Jack DeSlip, is doing a hell of a job over there, just killing it. We got some great writers over there. And we're going to have more contributors and things like that. So definitely check that out. Go check the good people out over at StadiaDosage.com. If you missed Sound Off, our show, where I kind of let that slip out, that ish slip out, because I had to transition and realize I'm still not on Sound Off. You're like, oh, well, that's more up my alley. You know, like the homie Christopher Torres said, I ain't never seen MM2K this raw. Yeah, we keep it real over there. Become a member. Hit that join button right now. Become a member. And that'll get you access to all of the sound offs. We had a very passionate one. This one really made me upset. The subject matter that we were talking about, and that is, of course, the journos. But we were talking about how we're now starting to see the result of all their lies now even hitting certain sacred sectors of gaming. And if that doesn't make sense, it'll make more sense when you watch that episode. But definitely check that episode out if you are a member. It's currently our highest watched episode of Sound Off. And even before I even let it go into VOD, when I saw the numbers, I said, whoa, Jesus. Yeah, so we had a lot of people in there. And I want to thank all of you guys. And y'all seem to like the swearing MM2K, the swearing belligerent MM2K, the drunken uncle. Y'all like Uncle Huggy Ones. There used to be this guy called the Huggy Ones that we would in the neighborhood I was growing up on. Even though I grew up in the 80s, he was still, late 80s, he was still dressing like it was the early 70s, and he do nothing but ride his bicycle around, have his little afro, and he'd pick his ass. He would step in front of us. We was out playing football or something, and he'd pick his afro, and he would say, yeah, y'all out here looking for the huggy ones. And we were like, okay. And he was talking about the young girls. He called them the huggy ones, which was kind of weird and peculiar now that you think about it. But, and you catch him late at night, and he'd be drunk, walking up and down the street, swearing and cursing. So that's Uncle Huggy Ones that hosts Sound Off. If y'all want some Uncle Huggy Ones, definitely join, become a member. It was our biggest Sound Off yet. With that said, again, we went over the preliminaries. The Sound Off, StadiaDosage.com. I think we can get into today's show. So what I want to talk about today, y'all, is, well, before we do that, let me give a shout out to everybody in the chat. Yo, let's go. I can dig that. Ron Slusher in the house. Good to see you, Ron Slusher. Late for dinner, aka Sanchez, says MM2K rants are epic. Yeah, I was ranting. I was in my mode last show. I wasn't, again, I was the drunken uncle. I wasn't the reverend. Some people say, what's the difference? I'm not going there. But I was a drunken uncle. I was pretty pissed. That you'll see what I mean when I show you. If you go over to Sound Off, go look at the examples that I was talking about, you'll see exactly what I mean. I'm really getting fed up with the state of things as people show a lack of concern or care with information. And because people were fighting us in our crusade and making sure that the correct information was out there, we're now in a state where some of the most sacred sectors of gaming have now been tainted with a lot of BS. So go check it out. We got the human cyborg. Where did I get that from, Ray? Why am I calling you the human cyborg? Is that what Anthony calls you? Where the hell did I get that from? Because Storm went to go check me on it, but I don't know where it came from. Did I just make it up on the fly? Am I truly the drunken uncles? Shout out to Ray, the gaming cyborg in the house. PSX Cloud in the house. Good to see you, brother, as always. And check out PSX Cloud's channel for some great cloud gaming content. Yo, Dusty Iran in the house. Philip in the house. Hey, Philip. Ain't you the one? Hey, Philip, you got me. Philip came back to get me in even more trouble. Hey, Philip, I told you don't come back here for about a decade. No, shout out to you, Philip. Good to see you again, brother. He says, remember my previous comment about Ubisoft being sold? May or may not be Apple, but it's looking like it's going to be someone. Yeah, there's a lot of murmur about it. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Wherever it goes, hopefully, I mean, if it does go anywhere, hopefully there's they keep the same support over cloud gaming. You would hope. But we'll see. We'll see. Now, on that same token, Philip trying to get me in trouble. What I'd like to see, Google, not Stadia, Google buy them. Just let them run by themselves. Yeah, but what I didn't realize, which I thought it was the complete opposite, but Ubisoft stock dropped 41%. So that's why Google, when they hear me say, yeah, y'all should buy them, they're laughing. They're like, this idiot. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to, because that's going to have an effect on Google stock altogether. So, the problem with Ubisoft is Ubisoft reminds me of Windows back in the day. And the way Windows used to work back in the day is you would, get Windows on a disk. You'd have to install it at home, and getting the latest version of Windows was always a big deal. Standing in line, people stood in line like it was a potato famine somewhere. Getting copies of Windows disks. It was a big thing. It was a big thing. Windows 95, XP, all that other stuff. And the thing with Windows is that every other version was good. It's been like that for years. You have one version that was good, and then the next version would be total crap. And then they would have to come up with the next version real quick. That would be great. And then the next version after that would be total crap. And it just would go back and forth like that, right? For some reason, I don't know why they couldn't make back-to-back consistent good versions of Windows, right? So, that's what Ubisoft reminds me of. They'll have a fantastic year, then they'll have a crap year. Then they'll have a fantastic year, then they'll have a great year. And that's because they don't spread their IP out well. Like, I'll give you a prime example. The year before last, okay, 2018. No shit, I'm getting stuck. Sorry, y'all. I gotta remember. This is not. This is SLS. Excuse me. Probably have to get a censor button. Okay, so one year they had Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Then the next year, in that year they killed it because something else came out that year too. So they murdered the game that year, right? The next year, which I think was 2019, 2019, they had Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon, and that was the only game that they had that holiday season, and it underperformed. So then they got killed. Then in 2020, they had Watchdog Legions, they had Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and they had Immortals Phoenix Rising. And they killed it that year, even though Watchdog Legions underperformed. And then going into 2021, they had Riders Republic and they had Far Cry 6. And both of those underperformed. I think what Ubisoft has to do is that there are some games, like, take Watchdog Legions out, right? If they would have took Watchdog Legions and pushed it back to 2021 and had those three games, I think they would have. I think that they would have done something. They would have done some damage. Maybe you don't release a Watchdog Legion. Maybe you don't release 2 third-person action open world games in the same year, right? But you got a third-person action game, you got a racing game, and you got Far Cry, which is the first-party game. You got them all coming out within the same year, and then now you're able to add a little bit more polish to Watchdog Legions by pushing it back another year. See, you know what I'm saying? Like, something, they don't balance their stuff out well. I almost cursed again. They don't balance their stuff out well. And that's a problem. So if they can learn to balance their IPs out well, and they can have back-to-back consistent good years, that stock price will go up. But it's been like, as soon as they enjoy a high, they get a low. Then they get a high, they get a low. It's too inconsistent. They need to get some back-to-back good years. So that they had a bad year this year. They gotta have 2 back-to-back years. I think it's worth Google buying them. But see, Google's not in the gaming business, so Google, how is Google going to manage them? So now I get it. I get it now to where them buying Ubisoft, as much as we would want it to solidify the future of Stadia, it's a big risk right now, and you really got to think about the now. So, I mean, it's just one of those situations to where it's like damn, because they're not known for managing game studios. So how could they fix, they absorb a company that's lost 41% in their stock, and they're already struggling in the cloud. So they already got enough things that they're going to deal with. They're going to absorb a company that's lost 41% now. Hopefully what they can do, this is what I'm doing if I'm Google. I am reaching out to companies like Embracer or whomever that wants to buy these companies. And I'm like, look, if you buy Ubisoft, we got a $50 million contract that we're willing to put on the table with you right now. So this partnership with Ubisoft continues for the next 6, 7, 8 years. You know, or if it's got to be 100 million. 100 million in the gaming world for such a cooperation isn't a whole lot. So that's what I would do. I wouldn't buy. I mean, you're not gonna buy Ubisoft with 100 million. But what I would do is I would go to a company that is looking into it and say, look, if you guys buy Ubisoft, we got a $100 million contract on the table automatically with you guys if you buy them. You know what I'm saying? To keep the relationship going. I think that's probably a smarter way. So for all of you that were telling me that it doesn't make sense for Google to buy Ubisoft, I just think that your arguments weren't good. But you were right, but your arguments weren't good. Listen to me. Listen to the person that was wrong. I still got to find a way to make an excuse for myself. Now, when you think about it fully, it doesn't make sense for them to do it. Their stock is down 41%. They have a portfolio problem. What does Google know about AAA gaming portfolios? They don't. They're already having their own problems in the cloud, trying to increase their profitability and their placement in the cloud. The last thing they need to do is to absorb a multi-billion-dollar company that's having struggles and has a freaking sexual harassment problem on top of that. Like the way things are now, people are making moves for the now. Like if this whole Square Enix deal doesn't tell you that, I don't know what will. I mean, that Square Enix deal sounds crazy, right? But that's how bad. I'm going to tell you, companies panic. I know this from experience. Companies panic in situations like this because they did it with 9/11, where they're looking for the cash cow now. There is no sitting there, there is no bear market approach to gaining revenue. Everything is bullish. We got to find something that's lucrative now that'll sustain us through this storm. Nobody's sitting there bearish like, oh, bird. Let's just sit back, bird, and weather this out. No, it's not how it works. So that's why you guys are seeing a lot of erratic stuff. Did I curse again? If I cursed again, I'm sorry. But that's why you see a lot of erratic stuff happening in gaming right now, because there's so many things that threaten the bottom line, that what companies do is they go look for something lucrative that's going to really like adjust things and weather them through the storm, swiftly. And Square Enix is doing that with the NFTs. Microsoft is just $7.5 billion for Bethesda, then another $60 billion for, you know what I'm saying? It's just crazy. And every company is attacking its deficiencies. Like Microsoft, you're going to see Microsoft do more in gaming than Stadia and than any of the newer cloud platforms, because they have a bigger stake. They have more at stake right now. Anybody that has a cloud platform or a gaming service, they're going to spend billions like that. They got more at stake. They got to start having some better numbers than its console counterpart in order for them to be taken seriously. That's why these moves are being made. So you have Google, who's really feel like that they've been undercutting the cloud. Stadia is part of its cloud strategy, but it's really focused on just getting its cloud products out in the hands of consumers, period. That's why the whole business to business thing for Stadia was important. It was always in the back of their mind. It was always part of the plan, hence why they talked about it in 2019, for crying out loud, for those that weren't paying attention. But I would reckon that maybe they're a little bit more laser focused on it now, because they want to make sure that their cloud products have a footprint with business clients everywhere. They're trying to play catch up to Amazon and Microsoft, and you don't do that by saying, oh, well, we got this great tech with Stadia, oh, we're gonna keep it to ourselves for this 1% business. Nah, it don't work like that. You know what I mean? So if you can take this product that currently has a 1% ceiling, 1 to 3% ceiling on the retail side, but you can take it out to the 97% business on the business to business side, what do you think you're going to do? See, everybody's got to have their revenue to help them weather the storm. So I will say, Philip, you haven't got me in trouble. You helped me really reflect on this, and I appreciate the question. But yeah, now I see why Google won't do it. I should have known better to do research on it. Yeah, losing 41% in the stock, you trying to absorb that, you trying to absorb a company that has all these sexual misconduct going on. You know, I mean, even though I still think it'll be a great idea with, what is that? The new AI, the scavenger, whatever the hell it is going over at Ubisoft. I mean, if Google were to all of a sudden buy Ubisoft, the first thing I'm doing is I'm saying, Aaron Hoffman, John, box up your stuff. Or no, I will curse here because Aaron Hoffman, John, is my girl. Box up your shit. You are now the head of Scarlet or whatever the hell that project is over there. And I'm sending her over there. I'm not sure what she's doing now for Google, but a talent like that with something emerging like that, that's where you put her. You know what I'm saying? She has to be heading something like that, because that will be a transformative move for the Plus. And especially to have a powerful individual like herself over there to help influence and change some of that culture, some of that bad boy, I don't want to call it bad boy, but some of that naughty boy culture over there with all these sexual harassment. To have a powerful woman of stature over there to be heading Scarlet, I think it's called Scarlet, not just for the immense brain power that they're going to receive over there, but then to have her over there too, to make some instrumental changes, and as far as how the culture over there, that bad boy or naughty boy culture, it's like you're killing two birds with one stone. But yeah, buying Ubisoft on the surface doesn't make any sense. The smarter thing to do is, again, look at possible buyers and say, look, you know, we got this deal on the table where if you buy Ubisoft, we're willing to give you $100 million, $150 million to continue the stipulations under our current contract up until 2029. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would do. All right, let's get into the chat. Let's get into our topics and all the other stuff. Let me see who else we got here. Who else do we got here? And tweet this out. Let everybody know that we're live, please. If you could, I appreciate it. Started my new job and one of my clients is rock. Oh, that's dope. Okay. Dope stuff, PSX. What up? What it do, Sis Collins? I wouldn't mind if Embracer gets them. Well, I don't know. I know there's been echoes about Embracer being supportive of cloud efforts, but I don't know about that. Like, I think like Embrace, like the THQ contract and some of the other stuff that we've seen, I think those were I could be wrong. I think those were contracts that were established before Embracer picked them up. And the thing that concerns me the most with Embracer is Embracer also took over Gearbox, right? And we don't see no more Borderlands games. So I don't know if Embracer getting them. I'm not saying that Embracer told them don't do that. But if Embracer was such a big pusher of the cloud in that regard, I think we would have seen another Borderlands game. If you look at a lot of the talk behind why Embracer is doing this, there's been rumor that they're looking to get their own cloud service one day. And it would be hell of a cloud service. They got oh shoot, I don't even know the numbers, but the numbers are ridiculous. They would probably have the most in-house robust cloud service out there. And it would be one that I would subscribe to, as long as it performed well. Because I mean, just look at their lineup. You're talking about the Borderlands games, and I mean, come on, man. Just look at the lineup. So yeah, I'm not sold on that yet. I would say Embracer is better than Xbox or PlayStation buying them. It's better than that. Or Tencent. It's better than Xbox, PlayStation, or Tencent buying them. Or Amazon. You know what I mean? But I'm not sold on it actually, meaning it'll be BAU or business as usual, because we're going to need to see them. We don't know where they're at with their cloud service. That was rumored earlier on and talked about heavily last year. So expect Embracer to create its own cloud service, and if they got their own cloud service, they ain't got no point of putting their games anywhere. And those are a lot of games. So, and then now they got Gearbox too. Oh Lord Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Like, they could potentially have the most successful cloud service out there, depending upon how it performs. I mean, granted, I get it. You know, if Microsoft goes through with the Activision Blizzard thing, okay, yeah, it would give them a run for its money. But you got so much IP. Like, they never have to go anywhere. Like, I think Ubisoft Plus, I think, may have some games that were not published by Ubisoft. I think EA Origins, I think, is the same way. I think there were some, I could be wrong. But you're talking about a ton load of IP, a ton load of games and sequels and stuff like that. And they'll never have to go anywhere. So Ubisoft just don't know what they want. They have so many devs, yet their games are just okay. I think their games are pretty good. I think the problem with Ubisoft is time management and the spreading out of games. Like, I think Watch Dogs Legions came out too soon. I think it needed another year or two to really flesh that out into what it could possibly be. I think it came out too soon. The same with Ghost Recon Breakpoint. We all know that I loved what it was at first, but we know Ghost Recon Breakpoint came out too soon. It came out, they launched it because they had nothing else to launch in the holiday season. And there was nothing else that they could put out there in enough time that they could scale back or whatever. They scaled Breakpoint back a lot to put it out there. It wasn't ready. You know what I mean? So I think their games are all right. It's just Ubisoft is so hell-bent on the holiday season and having something out in the holiday season that it influences their decisions in maybe not the best ways. And they just got to get better at managing these titles. You know what I mean? So, Stadia should have their own stock because at the moment, Google stock is really expensive, almost as much as Amazon's. Maybe more people would invest. Sean L in the house. Frank Lepley says, I'd invest in Stadia if it was an option. Yo! Hey, Cowboy, my bad. We talked behind the scenes and I got caught up completely. But I still want to talk to you. I definitely want to talk to you, brother. So I don't know if you got something going on later today, but hit me behind the scenes, let me know when's a good time to reach out to you. Scalar, that's what it is. Yeah, we gotta if they were to buy Ubisoft, first thing I'm doing, Aaron, pack your shit. Well, what did I do? You're now in charge of Scalar. You know what I mean? And she probably don't want all that responsibility, but there's too much brain power there. I'm telling you. If there's one thing, let's just say, and this may sound like a straight brown nose, but I appreciate the contributions of smart people and them trying to use their wits for good. Let's just say if this whole cloud gaming thing just falls to crap and nothing comes out of it for whatever reason, I'm still appreciative that I've discovered Aaron Hoffman-John. Like the level of what's the word I'm looking for? The mental aptitude there. And the focus on what she was trying to do, like just listening to her makes you a believer. I mean, it could be we're gonna one day put people on Mars without suits and they'll be able to walk around like it's nothing. And if she were to try to break down and explain that process to you, normally if anybody else tried to tell you about it, you'd be like, what are you smoking? But if Aaron Hoffman-John grabbed the mic and was breaking it down to you, you would walk away a believer. And I'm not saying she's a BSer, not at all. It's just her ability to take the most complicated features and situations and break them down in layman's terms. Not always layman's terms, but break them down and show you her mastery of either how we solved it or how we're going to get there to finish solving this problem. The level of confidence and her breaking down of situations like that, if she gave a speech on how a man is going to walk Mars without a suit, I'd believe it. By the end of it, like, all right, I'm gonna do it. Sign me up. You know what I mean? So yeah, I would, if that does happen, which it makes sense now to me why it wouldn't happen. But if it does happen, that's the first thing that they got to do. They got to put her in charge of Scalar. Anthony says, Tiny Tina has a new Borderlands game, so we have to see if it makes its way to the cloudy soon, if it hasn't already. Yeah, it's not there yet, and it hasn't made it for any cloud platform yet. which is a great observation. My thing is that as I was talking to Dusty about it, that's my thing. Like, I'm not sold that Embracer is so embracing of the cloud. They're going to be embracers of their own cloud service, yeah. But I think I think what we've seen in the past simply was them just supporting the contracts that were established. One thing I will say about Embracer is that what they don't do is after they absorb a company, it doesn't seem like they go and they start slapping over cabinets and knocking over lamps and stuff like that. It seems like that they try to make it a smooth transition as possible to where you even forget that Embracer's involved. Like, who is Embracer, as a matter of fact? You know what I mean? So I think it wouldn't be hard to believe that they're going to honor contracts that were already established to a degree. But as far as them being supportive of the cloud, I don't know about that yet. I don't know if we've seen that yet. Caliphate, what's up? Good to see you, good brother. Yo, Dr. Streamax, good to see you, brother. Good to see all of y'all. 2K have their own self-publishing arm, so Embracer don't really have a say. Unfortunately, I reckon we could see Embracer use immersive stream. Yeah, 2K. Well, no. 2K's not part of Embracer, it's Gearbox. Now, for Borderlands, let me see something here. Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Like, we know Gearbox has their own. Okay, so 2K is the publisher of Tiny Tina's Wonderland. So that could play a role too. But here's the thing. PSX, remember when Microsoft bought, what game was that? When they bought, not Bethesda, but Obsidian. And there was the deal that put it in Game Pass. Like, Microsoft has that power because they purchase and they own them, right? So whenever there's a purchase or an absorption of a company, even while a game is in production, depending upon certain things in the contract, and I would imagine some of the states and laws or whatever, or the regions, you don't have to honor that contract. Like when Microsoft bought Obsidian, one of the things Obsidian said to Microsoft is, are we still going to be on PlayStation? Because we want to be multi-platform. And Xbox said, okay, we'll honor that. We'll let you be multi-platform. Obsidian asked to still be on PlayStation. So even though, and who was and I think it was Private Division. I think Private Division was the publisher of Outer Worlds. So even though Private Division was the publisher of Outer Worlds, Microsoft still had the final say, because whenever you buy out a developer, a lot of that stuff, a lot of the publishing things can change under the new buyer. Same thing with Mass Effect. Remember Mass Effect, during the middle of that series, Mass Effect was bought by EA. And EA had a choice. They could have made Mass Effect 2 multi-platform. And they decided they bought BioWare. And then they decided to keep it, to honor the contract and keep Mass Effect 2 exclusive to Xbox for X amount of time. And then I think there was like a Mass Effect trilogy or something like that came out everywhere. So yeah, when a developer gets absorbed or gets purchased, Yeah, they could change those rules. So again, I don't see again, but what I see with Embracer again is Embracer doesn't. Embracer seems to honor the contracts that are there. They seem to be not too abrasive. They don't want to cause too much disruption. I think they like their transitions to be smooth. So I think they looked at it simply as, well, if y'all ain't got no contract, y'all don't plan on putting this in the cloud, then so what? Don't put it in the cloud. You know, we're just going to leave it as is. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. What I'm saying is that, to me, if you look at it from 5,000 feet, that's more of an indication that they don't get involved and they honor the contracts that they absorb, opposed to them being supporters of the cloud. But great point nonetheless. I need Soul Reaver. Freddie Sanchez says, let's just hope wherever Ubisoft goes, they don't end the contract with Stadia, because I still need to finish it. Well, you'll still be able to finish it. They can't take the game away. The game is still going to be there. So it's just for future games. They still sell Avon Ron Slusher. Oh. They talking about something completely different. Shout out to Cloud Gaming Dad in the house. And he says, I got caught up too. Yeah, brother. Brother, you know what I'm talking about. What it do, y'all? Blessings to be here. Baptize me. Jamie. Hey, yo. We got a little bit of baptizing to do. So Embracer owns the rights to Marvel, Avengers, and Disney has to resign their deal with them. Embracer stated they believe Disney will sign. What's your thoughts? Will Disney sign a new contract? That's a great question. I doubt it. I'm doubtful. The Western development wing that Square Enix let go, that was bought by Embracer. Like, I don't. Embracer's not known, from what I understand, as being a cultivator. Like, I haven't heard anything bad about Embracer besides that they're buying up all the goddamn IP out there. So I don't know. It would be like if Square Enix if this wing was bought by PlayStation, then yeah, I think Disney would say, oh, okay, we've seen the success of the partnerships with PlayStation and Infamous. And Insomniac. That seems like they're under, great hands. Yeah. But I don't know if being under Embracer makes them feel more comfortable. I think what Disney is starting to do is they're making strategic partnerships with brand new developers. You see Amy Hennig's team, they're going to do something with. They're going to do something with Respawn. They're going to do something with Ubisoft. And that throws another, now that I think about it, like, why would Ubisoft sell in the middle of doing a Disney game? I think that would make Disney uncomfortable. And I don't think that, if Ubisoft's selling, they don't give a crap. They don't care. They get their cash and they walk off, just like how Twitter said everything they could. They called Elon Musk everything but the child of God, and they sold to him as soon as he came up with the right amount of cash. So if Yves Guillemot and them got the right amount of cash, they can care less how Disney felt. They got their cash, they out. Get the money and dip. You know what I mean? On their old Buster Rhymes. Yeah, I don't know if that would be the case. I don't think so. I think that the Square Enix deal left a sour taste in their mouth, and I think Embracer would have to show some type of cataclysmic, or not but some type of serious intervention or change that's gonna guarantee success. I think Disney's just done with Square Enix. I think they are. I think that relationship has ended. But it's a great question. Glad to hear, even gladder to see you all. Good to say that. Grid Legends possible store Stadia. I don't know. I don't know. I know a lot of people feel a certain way about that game not being on Stadia. Hopefully it comes. We'll see. If I sound dumbfounded, you gotta excuse me. I'm not the biggest on racing games, but hopefully it does make it. Who is the publisher of that? Who's the developer on that? Hopefully through low change porting, we can get that. We'll see. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to you, Cloud Validation. I was hoping for F122, but shame it's not coming. Intrigued to see if F1 Manager arrives. So will we see Jedi Order 2 on Stadia, and will we hear more about this tomorrow? I don't know. That would be awesome. Here's my thing. I think bigger than that, we need confirmation on FIFA and Madden. I think we kind of got some good news with FIFA, and I'm kicking myself, y'all, because I didn't get to $14.99. I feel like an idiot. I didn't get to FIFA while I was at $14.99, but I want to say this, that I think the biggest thing that Stadia could do this year is guarantee FIFA and Madden, especially now that they're working on crossplay. You get FIFA and Madden 23, and then the crossplay spills over to Madden as well. I mean, that's huge. That's huge. So, hopefully that happens. So I don't know, I would love to see Jedi Fallen Order 2 on here, but I think bigger than that, let's get the Madden and the FIFAs on here. Those games are huge. What's up, Purple Haze in the house? What else we got here? He says, why is there Star Wars speculation? I don't know. I think something is Star Warsy tomorrow. May 4th is the May the 4th be with you. Yeah, because last May 4th, that's when we got Jedi Fallen Order 2. I mean, Jesus Christ. Jedi Fallen Order hit Stadia Pro. That was dope. That is right. That is right. Did you talk about FIFA 23 being tested on PlayStation, Xbox, and Stadia? Is that 23 or 22? I think it's FIFA 22, right? Yes, FIFA 22, right? Or is it 23? I don't know. You know, y'all know I don't be hip to these games. I think it's FIFA 22. Mostly Martinez, good to see you. Okay, fair pointers, I think we'll see in Indie Cell. Maybe so. Yeah, I think I did talk about the crossplay. I'm hopeful that the crossplay will come to the platform. And as a precursor to FIFA 23 and Madden 23 coming. That's what I was saying earlier. I think that's the biggest thing Stadia could do this year. I know it's like not the most super exciting to the AAA enthusiasts. We want more AAA games, but I think right now, while they're in this pivot, I think the biggest thing they can do is solidify Madden and FIFA. That would be great to do, especially if, again, EA is looking to do crossplay. That would be huge. All right. With that said, I think it's time now to go on to our golden topic. And the golden topic is Stadia for you? Now, I want to shout out Clive Linden for being the inspiration of this conversation, because he put out something I think really, really pivotal yesterday in Stadia Monday Night Chat. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. What Clive talked about was, I guess for lack of a better term, the uproar that the community found itself in last week. And yes, there was a video that may have been at the root of the uproar. Which I think I've hinted before that content, because I got a lot of questions in not in relation to the video, but I got questions in relation to the discussion around the video. So I don't want to focus so much on the video, because it's videos. Content creators take on something, and that's their take, and it is what it is. I mean, people can debate it, debate points about it or whatever. I think the more important thing was a discussion around the video. And that discussion focused on, Stadia's issues, Stadia's problems. And, therefore, the Stadia's future seemed bright because of those problems. That was the or is it doom and gloom time? That was the focus around the conversations. Again, I'm focusing. I'm not saying that was the video. I'm saying that was the conversations that were spawned. And I think Clive did a great job yesterday in addressing that whole motif around the conversations. And I just wanted to add to it, because he did mention some things that are brought up here, the 2% business and all other stuff. And this is stuff that we've been echoing to people for years. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of you were new, so you guys weren't around back then. But in 2020, at first we start off with the motif that, give Stadia some, because people wanted Stadia out of the box to compete with PlayStation and Xbox. And even though I as well was grooming myself to what was going on with Stadia in a lot of ways, when I first started playing Stadia, all I knew is that I liked the platform. I didn't have a lot of information on the platform. I just knew that I liked it. And I didn't look at cloud gaming as, I always knew that cloud gaming was going to be the future. It's inevitable. And you'll have people that'll deny it. Just like I knew in the back of my mind, physical sales would no longer be the predominant way that people would purchase games. I knew that. And we may not be fully there yet for consoles, but everywhere else, of course, we are. Of course, well, because really the only place you can get a physical copy of a game is a console. But it's close. Physical purchases on consoles are slowly dwindling, and digital sales are starting to become more dominant. It was only a matter of time, even though at the first enunciation of it, I was upset. I said, I don't like remember the battles. Digital copies are a scam. They're still charging you the same amount, and they don't need to do. It was a bunch of bullpucky. And I gotta admit, a bunch of ignorant bullpucky that I didn't understand at first. And I was just making an excuse for something because I emotionally was tied to physical copies. I can be honest about that. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. When I recognize it, I immediately correct myself, dust myself off, because I'm not perfect. I think I'm the only content creator out here that created a disc a diss video on himself. You talk about being bipolar. Yeah. I created a diss video on myself. It's called MM2K Exposed. Go to StadiaDosage and check it out. StadiaDosage. What was that one? The one T.I. versus Tip. Well, I was truly dissing. Like, look, my eyes had to open up and see that it's not about Stadia racing to be on the same stage as Xbox and PlayStation. I was like, talking about, this is the development phase, this is the data collection phase, and this is like when you look at project management. I'm throwing in my project management experience anywhere between 18 to 23 months. My guess is more on the 18-month side they're going to do. What I'm doing is I was being fully pulled by my knowledge of how important time is to console and dedicated device gaming, and not fully aware of my ignorance and lack of understanding of what was going on. And once that understanding came, I corrected course, dusted myself off, and then make sure that I align stop becoming more, stop with the conjecture in that realm and focus more on the facts. Now, we've been on a steady path since then. Once I focused purely on the facts and not what I wanted to happen, we've been on a steady path. We've been able to boom in advance. Not even when we did make our guesses, our educated guesses, they were always in line to the things that happened. We never went too far off the reservation. And we learned first enough. Remember, there was a time, a lot of you guys don't remember this, but there was a time where the community was under the impression that Cyberpunk 2077 wasn't going to release day and date on the platform. There was some verbiage somewhere. The community picked it up, and we were like, oh no, they didn't say it's dropping on the same date. They said the same year. They didn't say later. They didn't say after. They said the same year. So because of that verbiage, it caused a lot of heartache. And I wrote an article. Go check out broadbandbullies.com, where I explained to you, I'm like, look, based upon my experience, this is wordplay. They don't want to make a full commitment yet because of whatever issue, but they're just doing this is CYA verbiage, meaning cover your ass verbiage. Google likes to do a lot of that. You know what I'm saying? Again, because they're a new platform, they get it. They get that people have more staunch commitments elsewhere. They don't keep the lights on. So they do a lot of cover your ass stuff. Sometimes they don't cover it well and it leads to issues or whatever the case. But this was a cover your ass comment. Just in case something were to go awry. They just use the term within the year. But I said, just the way it was phrased and some things that are happening, I said, I don't think we are to be fixated on that and misunderstand this wordplay here. I think this game is coming out day and date, and we were right. Boom, and then it was just like a domino effect from there. When it came to SG&E, when we saw the letter, we lambasted them on how they wrote out the letter. They gave it to Kotaku, of all people. Jesus Christ. I know I know they're kicking them. I know we could all laugh about it. It's like a conversation I had with my oldest son, where I told him, he was getting himself in and out of trouble. And I told my oldest son, I said, one day, you hate me now. I know you hate. I can just see it in your eyes. You hate me. I said, but when you turn 18 and you get older and you become 21, 25, 30, whatever, I said, one day we're going to sit and have a beer and we're going to laugh about all this stuff. I said, so the world's not over. It's just that you got to listen. You got to listen to the rules of my house. And lo and behold, me and him, we sit there and we laugh and joke about this stuff now. We're like the best of friends. He couldn't stand me growing up. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't, you're not bringing discord to my house. I'm not going to walk in my house, jangle my keys, and someone come up behind me. Hey, old man. You know what I mean? Because they looking for you. Where you at, old man? No, you're not bringing any trouble to my doorstep. So, I'm pretty sure that Stadia now can somewhat laugh about it, but man, that was a bad decision. And we talked about it. We talked about it here. We said it was a bad decision to give it to Kotaku of all people and how it was rolled out. And we hammered in that they needed to fix it, and they fixed it. And we were telling people, this doesn't mean that Stadia is winding down. This means that Stadia must have saw something with the productivity of Cyberpunk 2077, and they realized, hey, this worrying about developing our own game and doing this is not what our player base wants. Our player base wants their favorite games playable on this platform. So we're investing all this money into developing these experiences, which maybe for the next 10 years, it's going to be about who plays ports the best in the cloud. Then after 10 years, then we can start getting into this cloud native aspect of it. But thus far, maybe us trying to rush the cloud native aspect of it right now is fulfilling for some content creators and some hardcore gamers. It's not going to move the needle for the people that we need to help subsidize our efforts. We got to make sure that we get games like Cyberpunk 2077 on here day and date, and they perform well. So they reshuffled that's what we told everybody. They're reshuffling their resources. We tried to tell y'all that. We also told y'all several months after that, we got critical news that major investment was made, and they were doing some things that developers were asked, what do you need? Developers told them, and Google started writing checks, and they, on their whiteboard, they raised the priority of Stadia. We told y'all that. We told y'all that several months before it was officially announced in the first Stadia keynote. And now we're telling you that maybe not at the pace that a lot of people would want, but Stadia is addressing, now that they've rolled out the low charge porting with the select few publishers and developers. They're testing it out. They released some games. We got MotoGP 21, which PSX Cloud can tell you is a good performing game. I think it performs better, right? You did a test on it, good brother. I think it performs better than MotoGP 20. Now we got World War Z, and World War Z wasn't idealistic in it not having 4K, right? And it having only a 1080p 60 mode. But can you imagine if Sabretooth Interactive had to develop that game without the low charge porting? Would we even get a game? Is the question. I think we all know the answer to that, right? And now we're getting Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. That's not even on Xbox. So what we're saying now is they're slowly rolling out their new initiatives to address and get to where they need to be to fulfill that promise that was first realized after Cyberpunk 2077 was such a big hit on the platform. It's not something that happens overnight, and it's kind of hard to tell your gamers, hey, look, guys, we're rebooting, and, like Microsoft didn't do it. Look at them now. And you had to wait years. You had to wait years for Microsoft to build the trust of Satya and Nadella, get out of the red and get in the black, and then finally get the trust of Satya and Nadella, and then them start writing checks. That took them years. Stadia announced the low charge porting in 2021. Beginning of 2022, we're already seeing the fruits of that labor. Stop it. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop it. I've been around here too long to fall for the okie doke. And I've been around too long to sit there and go, woe is me, hand me the Kleenex. Oh, y'all got to get up on y'all precedent. Y'all can point things out and show me these numbers and calculate this. Anybody can present whatever case they want by caveating the facts. I'm looking at everything from 5,000 feet. I'm not only looking at the issue, I'm looking at the solution, and I'm looking at the precedent. And when you look at the precedent, again, it took Xbox years to even start proposing the type of content that their people wanted. Years. And really, they're not there yet. They won't be there till next year, because the fruition of all these studios ain't going to start hitting until 2023. Here, Stadia didn't have it part of their regular plans, and yes, shame on them, okay, but they recognize they're wrong and they're trying to right it. They announced an initiative in 2021, late 2021, fourth quarter 2021. No, was that? No. I'm lying. Third quarter 2021, and in first quarter, right? Yeah, no. We saw MotoGP. Yeah, MotoGP 21, first quarter 2022. We already see the results of that labor. Now, they could have sat there and said, look, we're not going to roll this out in phases. Screw y'all. Y'all just wait till it's complete. They said no. Got consumers on here. We got paying consumers. We got people really passionate about getting these games on here. And we want to show them that we are doing something. It's just that it's going to take time. So let's do this in phases. We're rolling out MotoGP 21. Little bit after that, you're going to get World War Z Aftermath. And then Five Nights at Freddy's going to come out. Yes, it's slowly but surely, but we're putting stuff out there. And then we estimate by the end of the year that after rolling these things out slowly, we'll be able to roll it out fully to all the publishers, anybody that wants to use it, and boom. Hopefully we'll start seeing the mother load. Now, for those of you that are like, yo, I'm not feeling this though. Stadia promised me a whole bunch of games all at once. That's what it's all about. Everywhere else you look, there's a whole bunch of games here. There's a whole bunch of games there. There's a whole bunch of games everywhere. That's what it's all about, is volume. I'll show you Exhibit A. Let me show you something. It was a story that told you at the foundation. And this is when GameIndustry.biz was cooperating with Stadia. We know that they don't like them now. But this is when they was cooperating with them. This is a story about Stadia's approach to content. At its core, what its approach was to content. Okay? So let's talk about it. Okay? Google's Ray Batista says Stadia is moving away from the wild, wild west that exists in some storefronts today. You want to release your game on Stadia? You're in good company with over 4,000 other developers. But Stadia Business Development Manager Ray Batista insists that Google is being picky with who it allows in the team. The team wants its cloud streaming platform to be a curated storefront experience. It was important for us with Stadia that we moved away from the wild, wild west that exists in some storefronts today, Batista said, speaking at the Game Industry Business Investment Summit at PAX. Just because the studio has a game idea doesn't mean we're going to allow them to publish that game on our platform. Just because a developer or publisher releases a game that was a success, we certainly aren't going to allow 10, 20, 50 fast follows that come after that. It's important to us that we are looking at every single piece of content that comes to our platform to really help spotlight developers, showcase the talented developers' content that's coming out, and more importantly, make sure we're proud of the content that's being released on the platform. Need I say more? The proof is in the pudding. All you gotta do is go to the homie Nlad. Shout out to Nlad. Go to the homie Nlad site and look at the game Metacritics of Stadia Pro, just the games on the platform, all that stuff. Now, granted, I know what a lot of you are thinking, but MM2K, Nlad's last chart wasn't so damn high. Well, guess what? We're in the middle of a pivot. We're in the middle of a situation to where they got to do like a soft reboot. The Stadia's problem is the porting. The porting isn't ridiculous, but it's too cumbersome that of a porting process that developers want to deal with for a cloud platform. So they're not embracing it as we would hope they would. So they've had to let a few games in that, maybe aren't the highest curated games out there. But really, I mean, are the games that have been released recently that horrible? I mean, World War Z, we're having a blast with that one. What else? Rainbow Six Extraction, it's a Ubisoft game. That game just happened to be, not rated so much as an Ubisoft game. We got some other indie games that are between 70 and 80 or whatever, but not the highest rated games as they normally would be. That's to fill the void while they get the low charge porting rolling. So yes, you see a decrease. Like we see a decrease in performance. We're seeing some games missing 4K. We're seeing some games not have the 60 frames per second. That definitely wasn't Division. But in the middle of this pivot, the answer was, do we not have any games at all? We got to put something there. So this expectation that Stadia was going to have every single thing like GFN, they was going to be like Geforce now, and they were going to have 113 games a month, that 110 of them you never heard of, and you'll never press start on. That was never the case with Stadia. So talking numbers on Stadia really goes against the core definitive approach of the platform, even when it's hitting on all four cylinders. Well, you know what? I mean, I just see more. I don't know. I mean, I see other platforms doing this, that, and the third, and I just don't see Stadia doing like what the big platforms are doing. I give you Exhibit B. This was an interview. My old heads in the chat, y'all know where I'm going with this. My new people, I'm just going to enlighten you. Somebody asked Jack Buser, head of games, the guy that was responsible for getting games on the platform even before launch, even before the pivot, before they even knew that they weren't going to meet that milestone. They asked Jack Buser. When I say milestone, I mean they had a milestone of 1 million active users by the end of 2020. So before they even knew that they weren't going to hit that, this is what they were hoping that this was their approach, believing that they would be able to operate on all four cylinders, right? Somebody asked Jack Buser, how do you convince an audience that's already built up a games library, friendships online, to shift over to your platform as opposed to ones they have spent 10 or more years growing up with? And Jack Buser just basically lets everybody know, whoa, hold on. Did you have too much Metamucil today? I think things are moving too fast for you, bucko. Slow it down. Use the muscle clenching skills. You're moving too fast. Quote, the same device you are using certainly has better and more rich game experiences. That will take time to play out because gamers will have to realize, oh my gosh, Stadia has improved so much from years ago. I can't believe I'm still using the same screen, but that's the third piece. That's Jack saying that, expecting the platform to work on all four cylinders, not even anticipating this pivot, this roadblock that they run into to where they have to deal with the porting issue. Working at all four cylinders, they expected the platform, when bumped up against what the mainstream platform's doing, for you to say, well, all right, when you look at gaming robustly all the way around, yeah, these mainstream platforms provide more. But there just happens to be certain charm with this Stadia platform, something in particular I'm not getting here that keeps me here, even though you may get a more robust experience earlier on with these other platforms. So the belief that Stadia had to be on par with mainstream platforms, that was never in their cards, even when things were working right. So then you got to ask yourself, well, who is it for? Phil Harrison, head of Stadia, tells you who it's for. Who is this? In the interview, it says, who's this for? He tells you, Harrison says Google's market research has identified two broad categories of players that will be excited for Stadia at launch. All right? The first is the leading edge player that understands the technology of 4K 60 frames per second. They know what HDMI means to quality. They will love the ability to take a game across any screen at any time. Second, Harrison is a more budget-conscious gamer that frankly cannot afford to keep up with the rate of change in the hardware generations, whether it's on the PC or console. My observation is the console cycles are starting to speed up again, not slow down, and that's an expensive capital expenditure to keep up with. There is a player that loves to play, wants to play, but can't play on the latest, greatest machines. Okay, so let's talk about the first one, because I know some of y'all percolating over the first one. MM2K Stadia ain't giving us the 4K 60. And you know what? At this moment, we are not getting the 4K 60 that we all hope that we can get. Remember that, because I'm going to come back to this again later too, when we ask the main question. But the first question I'm going to ask is, why aren't we getting the 4K 60 that we want? Is the platform not capable of it? If you listen to what multiple developers say it is. You look at instances of it, it definitely is. You look at a game like Zombie Army 4. You look at a game like World War Z, Aftermath, and you ask yourself, hold on, Zombie Army 4 looks fantastic. I can't imagine World War Z Aftermath being that more intensive to where, okay, maybe you can't get 4K, you can't get 1440p. People may say, well, hold on, no, but it's the engines or whatever. So we look at Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Odyssey, who are built off the same engine. Odyssey isn't 60, but Valhalla is. And Valhalla didn't release at 60. They released it at 60 later. Why is that? If the platform can't do it at launch, or if a game launches on Stadia without 60, does that mean that it's not capable? No. It just means, like every other platform, you might have to, you got to develop towards it. You got to put in the effort. It's worth putting in the effort for PlayStation and Xbox because those platforms keeps the lights on. To these developers, it's not worth putting in the effort for Stadia because it doesn't keep the lights on. So then the question or the assumption is made, well, Stadia then has to keep paying them worth the effort. How does that go into future-proofing your platform when the ceiling is only 1%? You're spending all this money to develop, to pay people to put the game on your platform when you can be future-proofing it, when you can fix your problem and instead take the temporary hit and future-proof your platform. So regardless if people have a lot of time to put on the platform or not, you still get a game that pow comes out of the oven all tasty and delicious and gooey. You know what I'm saying? That's how it's working for GFN. Because trust me, if GFN required the effort of Stadia, you wouldn't see the number of games, nor would you see that performance on the 3080 tier. How is Xbox all of a sudden able to put out more games now? Because they told you. They made their porting process as easy as possible. Where the developers pretty much just have to be cognizant of a few menu things. And then they just got to sign it off and give them the okay. Xbox handles the rest. I'm not sure what the Amazon process is, but I'm sure that at this current juncture, it's a lot easier and less cumbersome than Stadia. So even though Stadia had this great tech, in long term, I really think it's going to be able to do a lot more extensive things because of how the platform is built. It was built for the long game, not the short game. They neglected the short game. They thought they would be able to leapfrog a little bit the normal projections for cloud gaming, and they weren't able to. And they had to suffer because of that. And they had to make some tough decisions because of that. Do we keep playing the long game and keep and fall behind in the short game? Or do we make this pivot, which is going to require a soft reboot in order for us to get long-term gain? To me, I prefer the latter. It's just smarter. Because when you have a non-revenue business like this, non-revenue based business like this, that just has such a low ceiling of profit, you can't go to the investment board and say, let me just keep paying 30, 40 million for, no. Especially when your competition isn't doing it. They're looking and saying, well, what's your competition doing? Oh, well, they have better porting processes. That's what you better do too. Take that from somebody that's been in the Fortune 500 world for over 25 plus years. So I get where we want the checks to just come out. It doesn't work that way. Sounds like to me that y'all messed up and playing the short game. Well, yeah, but if we pay 50 million, no, you can't do that. If you're going to pay 50 million, it's going to go into improving this porting process, whatever you call it, Go to the devs, figure out what they need, improve the process. We'll just take the time to do that and make sure that it's right. That's where we're at. Now, my question to you is, now knowing all that in culmination with this, do you trust that this low charge porting is going to address the problem? If you don't feel like that is a smart move and the low charge porting is going to fix the problem, or, oh, I didn't realize that, MM2K, thank you for pointing that out. I was expecting more games. I can't rock with this. Or, oh no, I was expecting for them to try to battle PlayStation or Xbox within the first 3 or 4 years. I can't get, then you got a decision to make. And the question that you got to ask yourself, which I'm about to put in this chat, and it's okay however you answer, you're being honest with yourself. And the purpose of this channel is to put everything out on the table, the problems, the solutions, and then for it to be a reflection back to you so you can make the best purchasing decision that you can make. Knowing all this now, if you didn't know it before, or maybe you knew it before, but you just weren't trying to deal with it. You got to deal with it now. You got to ask yourself, is this platform for you? I'm putting that question out there in the poll right now. Knowing what you know now per this discussion, is Stadia still for you? Polls out there right now. Let's answer it. Let's talk about it. Let's get to the nitty gritty. I'm gonna go through. Let's see. Hey, Mostly Martinez. Amazing video of your son. Oh yeah, Mostly that was an amazing video. Glad to see it. Yeah, great stuff. And shout out to Jack too for making that happen. And it's great stuff. This is the stuff that we want, to focus on as well. I mean, it's good to talk about everything, but I don't think stuff like this is focused on enough. And I'm an old schooler when it comes to this platform. I was there at the beginning that despite we would be, look, this is how it used to be. We used to talk about the good, the bad, hash it out and debate it out and have great conversation. I don't know where you got that from. Oh, this is, whatever. Then shut it down and go boot up a game. Now what you see happening is we have the discussion. People are pointing fingers at each other. Then at the end of it, well, I don't know if this thing is going to live or not. And nobody's playing any games on it like we used to. I think that was the palate cleanser at the end of the discussions. Nobody's playing any games. And it's kind of hard for I'm gonna speak for some people. It's kind of hard for, and I'm not saying this is right, but perception is 9/10 of the law in a lot of ways. Not saying it's right, but it's 9/10 of the law. It's hard when you see the negativity, but the sources of the negativity say, oh, you know what? No. Hey, look, I want to be I really believe in the platform, but we ain't playing no games. That's what we used to do. We used to play. The most staunchest Stadia skeptic and the most staunchest Stadia believer had that discussion, and at the end of that discussion, we be sitting there playing some games, and that was the palate. You don't have that palate cleanser anymore. So you got one side looking at another side like, what is your intention? Are you just saying that you're for the platform so you can be up in here causing disruption? I'm not saying that's right, but that's the feeling that people have. So my solution to it is, regardless if the perception is right or not, let's get together, let's play some games. I've been saying this for almost a damn year. We're not playing any games. Let's get together and play some games. Show that you still have some optimism. Actions speak louder than words. Let's get some games together. We used to do it all the time. Now we're not. I'm sorry. I says, yeah, TWoS was delayed until tomorrow. I'm not here. Let me go to the bottom questions. I'm gonna go to the bottom questions, and I'm gonna start off with my brother. Okay, here we go. My brother says, StadiaDosage news. Let me ask you something, because I know you ain't scared. Is Stadia for me? Project Storm, your bro. I don't think I can give you my opinion, but more important than my opinion, and you know we've had this conversation, but more important than my opinion, you gotta ask, is it for you? Like, I think we talked about being a diehard Stadia gamer, and it's okay. You ain't got to be a diehard Stadia gamer. Trust me, I know plenty of gamers that are either PlayStation gamers or Xbox gamers, and they'll never admit it to you because they're afraid of losing their following, that they put Stadia in their portfolio. They play Stadia, and they'll never let you know, and the world may never know. Trust me, I know. And you'd be surprised who the hell they are, because they DM me and they tell me that they love it, but don't say anything. I swear to God. Oh my God. But they know I'm a good guy. They know I'm a good friend, so I ain't gonna say nothing. So yeah, I mean, I can give my thoughts on whether you're a diehard Stadian, but you ain't gotta be a diehard Stadian, even for me to respect you or appreciate you. But is Stadia for you? You got to ask yourself, are you okay with the fact, number one, you got to ask yourself, do you trust and do you believe that Stadia is working, that Stadia is aware of whatever problem that you're having with the platform, and B, Stadia is working towards fixing that problem? Both of those questions go hand in hand. So if your problem is a performance thing, do you think that Stadia is working towards fixing that? Do you think they have an effective solution that's going to fix that problem? If your problem is the type of games that are on the platform, particularly AAA, do you think Stadia understands it has a AAA problem and they're effectively working to fix that problem? Is it the number of games? And as I orchestrated before, Stadia curates its content. When it's clicking on all four cylinders, they ain't looking to have every single game on here. They're looking to have what they feel is like a greater selection of games that is best curated for their demographic. They're not looking to have everything on here. I think they realize how important AAAs are to that, more so than they did probably at launch, but they're not looking to be GFN. GFN is dropping 1 billion games every 3 seconds, but most of those games, y'all can't. If I tell you what was on GFN's Thursday games last week, most of y'all wouldn't be able to answer it. All y'all know is God of War. Look, if I asked a lot of y'all, just give me 10 games. I'm not talking about the content creators, because y'all get the newsletters, but I'm talking about just the gamers. Give me 10 games that GFN has dropped this year. Y'all gonna say God of War, Lost Ark, Dying Light 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know what I'm saying? And those aren't some shabby games to play. Y'all know, hey, I would love to see, I've already beat God of War. I'm not buying that again, but I would love to see Dying Light 2 and Lost Ark on Stadia. Y'all know I love my AAA games. But that's my thing that I'm trying to get y'all to understand, is that this is not a question that I can answer for you, because that's like you handing me a sandwich, Storm, and saying, yo, bite this. Do you think I'll like this? Would you even trust that? You shouldn't. You got to bite your own sandwich. But my thing is, I'm pointing out to you, I got a sandwich here. I know about a sandwich. That sandwich has pickles, lettuce, tomatoes, and mayo, not Miracle Whip, mayo. Are you okay with those ingredients? Do you trust, number one, and my brother Big Bob made the sandwich? Do you trust that Big Bob washed his hands? For one, you trust his hygiene is up to par, for one. And for two, do you like those ingredients that's put together? Big Bob washing his hands is equivalent to you. Do you feel like Stadia has a good understanding of what his problems are and they have a good solution to it? That's Big Bob washing his hands. The ingredients in a sandwich are equivalent to understanding what Stadia is about. It's not about a whole bunch of games. It's not about competing with PlayStation day and date, or compete with PlayStation anytime soon. All right? It's about 4K 60 gaming and possibly better if the devs can, put in the effort. And it's about bringing gaming to those that have been disenfranchised from it. That's what it's about in these early years. Are you okay with those ingredients? And I'll even add in there too, they realize that within that portfolio, they're going to have to get some of the biggest games out there, not all, but some of the biggest games out there that people would want to play in the cloud. So they are going to have to get a Dying Light 2. They are going to have to get an Elden Ring. But in order for those developers to give them the time of day, they got to get that porting process together. Because it's not sustainable for them to drop tens of millions of dollars just for these singular causes. If they're going to drop tens of millions of dollars, it's going to be because they're refining something to make the porting process easy here, like it is with their competitors. Hopefully that makes sense. Stadia Pro Gaming says, one and need are two different things. I want them to compete with the big dogs, but I need a stable, cheap way to game. Look, brother, I couldn't have put it no better. Do I want Stadia to have everything that's Xbox and PlayStation? Hell yeah, because this PlayStation just going on the market. It's going back on eBay. But that's not the sandwich that they're making at this moment. Oh, this crazy dude, G Billion. Check out G Billion. Look, one of the most underrated content creators out here. My brother's a wacko, but you got to check out G Billion. Drop a link to your crazy content. Iradio Adagul says, no, it will not. The problem is building relationship and key positive communication between devs and motivating them to invest on Stadia. Right now, the platform is a money grab for indie devs. No, that's not right. I want to show you something. Let me show you something. Let me show y'all something. Oh, no. All I got to do is go to, what am I doing? Don't let Jack know that I didn't do this. Let me go to StadiaDosage.com. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna show you why that's not the case. Let me see if I can find this story. All right, here we go right here. Go to an EA Erdo Adigal. Go to StadiaDosage.com, brother. You can't go wrong. It'll increase your knowledge base on Stadia. Here's why. It's not that it's only fulfilling to indie devs. Indie devs just happen to have a less cumbersome time porting their games over, right? Because normally indie games are less intensive. So they, like I talk to developers, Erdo, and check out Stadium Connect North. We did an interview with the remote developer, and it only took him 2 weeks to port his game over. So what it is that the porting process at this moment is more engaging towards indie devs at the moment. It's more, doesn't mean that regular developers, holy cow, I can't believe I said regular. Excuse me, my goodness. AAA developers aren't going to still engage with the platform. Doesn't mean that at all. But if you're an indie developer, like Eves Holler says here, Eves was asked, hold on, where's his, where's Eves' comments? Eves was asked, he was asked, is the platform lucrative? And he said, I recommend that any indie dev, because he's an indie dev, he can speak for indie devs, that has a game with a controller, come over to Stadia. Now, here's the thing that you need to pay attention to, EA. I'm gonna call you EA, brother. This is the breakdown of his copies that are sold. So this blue part is Steam, and then this is iOS, and Stadia's right here at 1.9%. So that's as far as the a la carte copies. But I want to take you over here. When it comes to revenue, his second greatest portion of revenue is Stadia Pro. Now, let me explain this to you. Stadia Pro ain't got nothing to do with indie or AAA. The way Stadia Pro compensates you is they take 70% of their earnings, and based upon daily interaction, you get paid. So it's not necessarily about whether it's an indie game or not. It's about the depth of your game. So if you have a AAA, if you have a game like Elden Ring, which people are putting 60 hours in or whatever, or a winemaking simulator, you can get some money off of Stadia Pro. It's all about the engagements. You get paid off of sessions, and then it depends upon engagements. So it all depends upon how many times people engage with your game. That makes sense. Psalmist Pro says, I'm disappointed in the low charge porting is only available for a few developers instead of everybody. But in the end, it will lead to more games coming to the platform. Now, Psalmist, you bring up a very good point. See, this is a reason why you are a member. My members are on it. Everybody's on it. I love all of y'all, but my members are on it. Or the StadiaDosage members are on it. Because y'all hear me cursing and swearing before the show goes live on SoundOff. I do think that is a legitimate beef. I do wholeheartedly feel that the low charge porting is going to solve these problems. I think, and once it gets rolled out to everybody and it's ready, I think it's a good thing. However, I do believe that more could have been done. I really do think that it would have been good to subcontract somebody, TWoS, to look at just a handful of these games that are coming out and saying, after these mugs go through the low change porting process, TWoS, can you tweak it even more for it to be 4K, 4K 60, 1440p 60? I do think a little bit more could have been done. I totally get you're going through a pivot. I totally get that you cannot spend tens of millions of dollars reasonably and get that approved. Just understanding how not just the market, but the culture of business is, period. I understand why you can't do it, but I do think a little bit more could have been done to tweak these games as they pop out of the oven. I think a little bit more of an approach close to what Xbox is doing and GFN is doing, to where they do most of the heavy lifting, even though the heavy lifting that they're doing has been simplified. And granted, Xbox can't do what Stadia can do. I mean, you could argue that, even though we haven't seen it yet, you can argue that, GFN ain't where Stadia's at, because we've been told by developers they've seen the 4K 120 or 8K 120. Who was that, Mantis, that told us that? Storm? They saw the 8K 120. They've seen it in action. It's just a matter of Stadia getting devs to dedicate themselves to the process to making that come to fruition. Now, if the process is mostly managed by the low change porting, then there you have it. But until then, I do think a little bit more could be done to subcontract somebody to just tweak these a little bit more. And that's where I give kudos to Xbox and GFN, to where even though their process is a lot more simplified than what Stadia is right now, that was their numero uno approach. How can we make this as cumberless as possible for the devs? They thought that out from the beginning, so I give them credit for that. Cloud Validation says, I love Stadia, play every day. Look at the results already. Wow, great question. PS5 for the family because my PlayStation 4 is on its last legs, but Stadia is for me. Plus, man, love my clan. I can't. Yeah, baby. Yeah, bulls. You know the old dirty blasters. We out here killing folks. We out killing folks and taking names later. Shout out to Lo-Fi Monk in the house. Shout out. I just want to Stadia Connect, laugh out loud. I get it. I know. I get it. Hopefully, I think we'll start getting connects. If the low charge porting does what we need it to do, and it gets us back to where games are coming in, I think we'll start seeing connects. I really do. I want to see everyone using direct stream so we can see some Stadia games being played. Yeah, we got to get back to playing these games. We do. I think that's the huge disconnect. Again, what I spoke of earlier was just perception. I think the disconnect is, oh, Fooey Stadia. Oh my God, Fooey Stadia. Then people go off in the abyss. And before, it used to be, oh man, Stadia, what are you doing? I used to do it. Hey, look, there's me on one show. I remember I cursed Stadia out. Maybe not one of my greater moments because I didn't completely understand the situation and I had to apologize later. But I cursed them out. I was so angry about something. But the palate cleanser was, after that, we picked up Division 2 and started rocking out, start going crazy, showing our love for the platform. We got to get back to playing these games. He says, I have the best answers. That's my dog. Hey, no, Storm, what you've been doing is you've been throwing me the slow pitch down the middle. I appreciate it. He said, if it's almost free, it's my baby. Dying Light 2, Blood Hunt, Narca, Lost Ark, Genshin Impact, Battlefield 4, 1, and 5. This is what will most players do when they see Call of Duty on xCloud next year? What do you think of it? Are you trying to say that Call of Duty, having one game on a platform where you can't buy your games a la carte and may not perform as well as its other platforms, is going to suck up the oxygen? What's going to happen to GFN? What's going to happen to Luna? I mean, I'm not trying to be mean. I just think the question on its surface is very siloed. People are gonna play Call of Duty on xCloud, and then when they want to play Resident Evil, you know what I'm saying, or they want to play the games that they can't get on xCloud, then they're gonna play it on. They're gonna go to the other platforms that they want to play it on. I think that's very short-sighted. This is cloud gaming. Do you know how much it takes to get into cloud gaming? Like, okay, what's it called? It's $15 a month. I add one more service, it's $25 a month. Help me understand, EA. Help me understand, brother. Cloud validation. With a statement like that, it's clear people just don't understand Stadia could have bought Electronic Arts and Bethesda, and the other two studios still wouldn't have moved the needle. This is, didn't Stadia announce how they pay pro games based on daily clicks? If the player clicked the game to play during the day, dev will be paid depending upon the amount of people who click the game. What are EA? You're not. Now you're getting into fairy tale land. Are you trying to say there's a conspiracy of bots that are clicking on wine? Are you trying to tell me that there will be more people clicking on wine tasting simulator than would be clicking on? Hold on, something just hit me. Hold on, EA, are you? Is this the same guy that's going to debate? We're going to debate next week. Please let me know. I hope not, for your sake. Something just hit me. I still would love to have you on, and I forgot to mention that. Yeah, we're going to be having a debate next week. There was somebody out on Twitter I saw put some things out there. I said to myself, wow, they really are not connected to the Stadia news. So let's have a conversation and talk about some things. And they were on Cowboys channel before, and I think they were on there with Storm. So I said, let's bring them on. Let's have some fun. We'll have a fun discussion too. It'll be a fun discussion nonetheless. I think that's who this is in the chat. I think this is who the EA. I could be wrong. But EA, are you telling me that more people are going to click on wine tasting simulator than Elden Ring? You see how that doesn't make sense? So Stadia Pro is for anybody, is lucrative for anybody that's going to get a lot of people playing that game or doing an engagement altogether. I can't remember what entails an engagement. If it is a click, trust me, more people are clicking on Elden Ring than wine tasting simulator. Oh my God, it is him. Hey, brother, I appreciate you. Next week is we also attend the Cowboy show. Oh, dude. Well, it'll be a fun discussion. It'll be a fun discussion, EA, because you're gonna learn a lot next week. I remember that Cowboy show. I remember watching it, and I said to myself, "Yeah, there's just a gap in some information," and it doesn't mean that you're gonna like Stadia at the end of our conversation. It's not. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But I think the approach is short-sighted. Hey, Windstar, you feel me, dog? Hey, yo, I'm just saying. Or what is it? Wine? Did I say wine making simulator? It's not wine tasting. Wine making simulator. I'm just saying, bro. What does it matter, EA? What you here? I'm gonna give you a big update, bro, and thank you so much for coming through. So this is great, and thank you, EA, because a lot of people would, if I would have sent the invitation, she said, let's discuss this live on air, they would have ran away. Being the fact that you were brave enough to have this discussion, that's great. And again, it's not going to be, we ain't going to curse each other out or threaten each other's kids. It's going to be an informative discussion. But what I think you will benefit most from, EA, is if you don't look at this as in, I gotta find a way to make Stadia look unsuccessful. You gotta do some research. A lot of surveys a lot of data out there. Particular survey shows that Stadia makes up 2.1% of gaming activity. No. Not Stadia. Streaming makes up 2.1% of gaming activity. Guess how much Stadia makes up of that? They make up 0.8%. So if we do the math, let's do the math while you're live on air. Let's do the math. Matter of fact, we're going to do it live on air. You know, I got to be a smart ass. Calculator. Let's pull up a calculator. Okay, so let's do the math. So you do 0.8% and you divide that by 2.1. Hold on, what the hell? 8% divided by 2.1 equals, that's almost 40% by themselves. And you have a slew of cloud platforms. I need you to, EA, I want you to look it up. It ain't got it. Are you saying that NPD? Hold on. See, brother, this is going to be a horrible discussion on your behalf. So are you saying that a statement isn't worthy unless it's from Google? Because that means that NPD, Sensor Tower, the UK, that means all of them don't matter. Is that what you're saying? I'm gonna give you a taste of what you in for next week, brother. See, Cowboy was nice to you. I'm not going. We're gonna be cordial, but I ain't gonna be nice. So going by what, and I'm pretty sure, EA, that if I go through your Twitter timeline, because I already know you're a PlayStation fan, I can find you celebrating some PlayStation NPD numbers. I can find them. So you telling me that because Google didn't release these numbers, that they're not official? I don't care who put it out there. I don't care if Popeye the Sailor Man put them out there. If they're official, they're official. Yo, Suda in the house. Please do. Okay. Oh my God. Hey, Anthony, you might have to hit up your boy. You might have to go talk to your boy. Show him some content. What did Obama say when he hit that J from the side? This is what I do. Hey, bro, This EA. One thing, and I want to tell you too. This is going to be an education. I'm all for the discussion. Everything that you're telling me right now. Well, number one, I've been debating people about gaming for several years, and secondly, everything that you're giving me right now is the same old lines that I've been hearing on the internet that I've debunked in videos and direct conversations, all that stuff. Brother, you're gonna have to eat your Wheaties between now and next week and read up on your facts, man. You have to read up on your facts. But no, I appreciate you, EA, for coming through, man. This is gonna be some great stuff. I didn't know that was you, and it didn't hit me. You know how it hit me? This is why I'm telling you, to where I'm looking forward to the discussion. I'm happy to meet you, and I think this is gonna be a great conversation altogether for both of us. But here's how I spotted you out. The logic. I said something hit me, was like, hold on, I've heard this type of rhetoric, this type of logic and rhetoric before. And then boom, it brought me back to our Twitter conversation. Oh boy. Yeah, brother. What you're gonna learn though, this will be a precursor. What you're gonna learn is that even though something's not for you, the rookie mistake that you're making is that because something's not for you, you're trying to discredit it. And you're trying to make it seem like it's failing. Just by your logic, number one, whenever you make an argument, apply your argument to all of its peers. Like when you threw out your Call of Duty arguments, see, I'm doing some of the education early. If you threw that logic out versus GFN versus Amazon, it doesn't fly. So you got to make sure you can't fall into the bear trap. I'm gonna tell you, like I told everybody else, that I had to give them put the proverbial baby powder on and slap them down on Twitter. Don't fall into the bear trap that everybody else falls into, which is trying to find ways to make Stadia a failure. What you have to do is you have to find litmuses that are out there for other platforms and then compare it to Stadia. You tried doing that on Twitter and you didn't have the right information. I'm gonna let you know that first and foremost. You didn't even have the right information there. But secondly, you gotta know how small of a ceiling cloud gaming has and where Stadia lies there. I don't even really have to address anything else, but besides that, without any of these AAA bangers, Stadia alone represents 40% of cloud gaming business or cloud gaming activity. Like, I can whop you all conversation with that. Help me understand that. With all this failure talk, they don't have COD, they don't have this. And I remember you on the good brother Cowboys podcast. They don't have Fortnite. Without all that, they still represent alone 40% of cloud gaming activity. Yeah, we're gonna have a great conversation nonetheless. All right, folks. Let me see. Next, you and I have a absolutely. It's as if early partners of Stadia call Stadia a failure. I'm not certain how the service will perform in the future. So you're talking about Randy Pitchford. See, hey brother, you're gonna have a hard time. You're talking about Randy Pitchford, who's known for putting his foot in his mouth time after time. The same Randy Pitchford who was supposed to get money for Alien Colonel Marines and used it to make Borderlands 2. That same Randy Pitchford who can't be I don't know if his own mother trusts him. You want to take that from Randy Pitchford? When I talk to developers that don't have nothing to lose or gain from Stadia, who told me just in conversation, and they told us live on air, you need to check out Stadium Connect North. They told us live on air that we have been privy to some things with Stadia that I can't talk to you about, but are promising for Stadia's future. And they told me, deniers like yourself, EA, you can't listen to them because they're pivoting off of emotion and they're not pivoting off of fact. This is coming from a developer who hasn't even decided yet if they're putting their game on Stadia. CDPR didn't sell. See, you're going to lose, brother. Woo! Hey, yo, we starting it right now. You're going to lose. CDPR didn't share sales numbers because they're under NDA. And under Google's NDA, you don't share sales numbers. You can't. You got to do your research. They do not, just like how Xbox for years wouldn't let you share sales numbers. Google is even more stauncher on that than anybody. But again, if it was so bad, if it's a failure, you got to explain to me why they're alone 40%. That's your homework assignment for next week. Explain why they're 40% of cloud gaming activity and our homies at Winemaking Simulator just off of Stadia Pro alone. Stadia Pro alone is their second leading source of revenue. You got to explain that. That's your homework assignment. Then how do you attract investors? How do you attract investors? You share you got to understand how the business world works. Like for instance, let me give you a scenario. I work for a Fortune 500 company. We're number one in our business, our line of business. There are certain third-party entities that provide industry reports that are for my company to look at and help us make moves, but we're not allowed to facilitate them to anybody because they don't want them to. All right, they don't want that information out there. All right. How do they make business? Because I could very well walk around and say, company ABC that has all this data, they're doing great. Because there are behind the scenes ways that businesses market to each other. You just don't see it because you're not in that business sector. But trust me, these businesses, there are businesses making money out here. You probably never even heard of my business or the company that I work for, which I can't tell you, but they are one of the richest companies in the world. See, everything isn't told on Kotaku. This is the problem, and this is why this conversation is going to be great. Too many of you think that you're at the heart of the matter with Kotaku, IGN. No, they're all failing you. They all fail you because they don't explain to you the business side. They don't explain to you how the business side works because they don't understand how the business side works. There are tools, settings, meetups, portals, ways of engagement that ain't got to be public facing. They know Google, this has been Google's approach to their developments in the early years for a long time. They're one of the richest companies in the world. Me and you can't say the same. We're not one of the richest people in the world. So I would say respect the process. Everything that you hear on Kotaku, GameSpot, or whatever, you gotta say this out loud. No, you don't. They don't even understand the business. They don't. These companies have a cajillion ways, offline is the term, to orchestrate business and get business, and you've never even heard of these companies. Like I said, the company that supplies us our reporting. They have ways of engaging, interacting with other businesses behind the scenes, and you don't even know who the hell they are. And again, this is how Google handles all of their paid for products. In the early years, they are one of the richest companies in the world. Respect the process. You don't have to market like that. He says, that's why Stadia decided to open their cloud tech. Stadia was opening here. I'm going to show you. Oh my God, this guy. Hey y'all, should I do it to him? Should I do it? Yeah, I'm going to do it to him. I want him to have nightmares. This is going to, look, you're going to get an education today. Oh, dear Lord. My God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Let me show you something, brother. Y'all know what I'm about to do to him. See, you need to come here more often. You'll get your education. Y'all know what I'm about to do to him. Look, y'all see it? Do y'all see it on the screen? What is that? Y'all know what I'm about to do to him. You know what? Hold on 1 second. Let me just leave that image on the screen. Give me 30 seconds. I'm coming right back. This is going to be vainglorious. Vainglorious. This year about to be vainglory. I had to go get me some tea. Lordy, Lordy. I didn't want to do it to him. I didn't want to do it to him live on air, Lordy, Lordy. But let's do it. All right, EA. Can you read that? Can you read this for me, good brother? Give you some time to read this. This is, well, let me get my chair out so I can stop squeaking. Woo. Do you see that? It says Phil Harrison talks about Google Stadia with Geoff Keighley or Jeff Keighley at when? E3 2019. I want to show you the date. This is June 10th, 2019. Y'all know I'm about to do to him, right? Should I do it? Is it fair? Is it this is the first that MM2K steps away? I think that should I do it? Let's do it. I want you to listen, brother. And I want you to know I love you like a child I pay child support for. But here we go.
Media is all about. Do you think?
Okay, hold on. I got to turn this up. Let me know y'all can hear it. Okay, I'm gonna play it.
From a, I think people were wondering about subscription, and Xbox has Game Pass and whatnot. Do you think over time that your subscriptions, you said there may be publisher subscriptions that could kind of live on top of it? Would you ever allow publishers to have their own stores on Stadia to sell games to people as well?
We almost enable that by default because on Stadia, a game is just a link.
Right.
And so whether you discover that game through our store or the publisher's store or Twitter or Facebook or Discord or whatever channel, it's easy to discover and propagate games.
So conceivably you could have like a Steam or Epic store inside Stadia selling games to people?
Or it could be outside of Stadia,
yeah.
But ultimately it's just a link, so it sends the gamer to play the game on our platform.
Okay.
So we encourage that because we want the publishers and developers to take the game to their audience rather than always bringing it to ours.
Well, that's an interesting idea because then there could be a subscription service that would have a collection of a bunch of games where there's a publisher, a bunch of publishers getting together that could live within your ecosystem.
Yeah, that would be conceivable. Yes.
Interesting. All right. Well, it's.
Doom. 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 That's the Undertaker sound. Somebody carry EA out. Carry EA out and give him that ether. EA, what is the date on this again? That's E3 2019, where they talked about, I hate using this term, but they talked about the white label thing that you just brought up. The white label initiative has been in the plan since before the platform even launched. Your problem again, EA, is you have a platform that isn't for you, you really don't like, and you've fallen prey and victim to the misinformation machine out there. And you didn't kick the tires, as we say around here. We kick the tires around here. I've dealt with many well-known content creators. I forgot the name of the one guy that came through here and tried to give me the same spill. The white labeling has been part of the process, because if you look at white labeling the way Microsoft did it, that's how they earn their revenue to expand their business. PlayFab, Havoc, I argue Minecraft, because Minecraft to me is a platform on its own. You see it in schools and libraries and stuff like that, but we'll play devil's advocate. I'll take that off. Microsoft set the standard that, hey, if you want to build up a good amount of revenue, whether your platform is selling a lot of software or not, then you got to have some white labeling involved. Very instrumental in Microsoft going from losing $10 billion its two previous generations to gaining $10 billion in the same year, 2018, which was PlayStation's most successful year at that time at $16 billion. Everybody sees that. You got to have some type of white labeling effort in Stadia, as far as gaming is concerned, has great tech. So even before they launched the tech to retail, they already had the white labeling in mind. Doom. Doom. Da, da. Here comes the Undertaker. Now let me stop. So EA, we're gonna have a fun discussion nonetheless. I think you're well intentioned. I think you got a lot of energy and pizzazz. I noticed that about you on Cowboy Show. You got a lot of energy and pizzazz because you're energized about this whole thing about, Stadia, this is a failure, and why are you guys? You think you're talking to a group of disillusioned people. You just don't have the facts. That's the problem. You just don't have the facts. That's all. All right, so I'm going to end this poll, but I'm going to take a few more questions. So the poll is, knowing what you know per this discussion, is Stadia still for you? 93% of you say yes. 6% of you say no. We're going to go through some more questions. Let's see here. He says, by the way, you didn't go through my Twitter. Please. Oh, I'll do that. I'll do when the time is appropriate. Let me see, what else do we have here? So that's interesting. I did program my Stadia games to my Stream Deck with each link of the game recently. Yeah. They've had that. They've had this in the works since 2019. They were going to do the white labeling. They are going to do the white labeling effort. That was their plan from the beginning. I will say this though. Was there possibly more emphasis put on it after they closed down SG&E? Did they kind of ramp that up a little bit? I think it's advisable to believe so. But what we do know, here's what I do know. I know personally, because I was told, and we talked about it here on this channel, that Stadia made a significant investment towards Stadia retail. They bumped up Stadia's priority on its list. And how can we prove that we knew what we were talking about and we did get correct information from our sources? Because a couple of months later, everything that we talked about in that show, Storm and I talked about in that show, was talked about in the Stadia keynote of 2020. So did Stadia say, you know what? After looking at the end of 2020 and how Cyberpunk changed our way of thinking, do we want to now stop this whole in-house gaming thing? Because when we poll all of our gamers, they all say they could care less about exclusives. They want their favorite games playable in the cloud. And they said, okay, now we hear you. I mean, we fell short of our milestone until we got the most popular game at the time on the platform. It got us 2/3 or 3/4 of the way to our goal. Y'all kept telling us this in polls, but we were persistent on we were going to do this in-house thing. Okay, now we're dropping the in-house thing. We're gonna get our tools together, and we're gonna, likely, which again I haven't had any figures thrown that they're increasing any spending on white labeling. I don't think it would be a bad idea, especially if you look at again PlayFab and Havoc and how that's been impactful for Microsoft. It would make sense for them to do it. But all I know is that they made significant investments in the retail, and that was shown in the Stadia keynote in 2020. So, platform is moving forward. It's seeing success. Is it perfect? No. Has it seen some roadblocks? Definitely. We're going through one right now to where we were hopeful we would see, more AAA games, Dying Light 2 in here, Elden Ring, whatever, or get more information on games. They had to refine the tools. In these early years, it's about the porting process. And that part of it they didn't have in a good spot. And now they're getting it together. So it's great stuff to see. EA says, no, I have facts. It's about whether you accept it. Not glad I reminded you one-on-one. Hey, bro, stop it. We're going to have fun next week, though. I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming through. This is gonna be a lot more fun than I thought it would be. Each region with this can build his own cloud with his own person. Okay. Each region with this can build his own cloud with his own personality and setups, but under Google Cloud infrastructure, like Linus distros. We need Paul Bear. Sony net worth is 135 billion. Google net worth 12 10 a Twisted Barber. I ain't get past third grade, man. You can't be throwing all these numbers at me. Wait, Elon Musk is worth more than Sony. I guess so. Yeah. So, man, great stuff, y'all. We're going to have a great show next week. And I think what we're going to do is, I don't know. I mean, EA will let me know, because I still got to set him up for the Discord and stuff like that. And then I got to, get him set up for everything. EA, let me know if you want to go just an hour or a full 2 hours. If we're just going to go an hour, then I'll do a question and answer session. I don't know, maybe after. But let me know, brother. I'm gonna let you dictate that. Just let me know behind the scenes. But yeah, that's it for SLS featured MM2K, man. We had a lot of fun today. I hope we helped you guys understand where the platform reasonably is. And again, having questions or concerns, I urge everybody to voice your questions and concerns. I am not the gatekeeper for Stadia. Stadia ain't thinking about anything that I think, you know what I'm saying? But what I will say is that I look at the evidence, I look at everything that I'm seeing, and I trust the process. You know what I'm saying? And I really do trust the process. I do think that they're going to work on getting the games on faster and better once the low change porting is fully fleshed out. A lot of you may not trust it, or a lot of you may not be okay. You may say, okay, maybe that will work, but I'm not okay with this law. Well, then the platform, I don't know if it's for you. You got to ultimately make that decision. If you talk more, if you complain more about the platform than you actually play it, then I think it's fair to say, you know what I'm saying? I think it's fair to say it's not for you. Gaming is about playing games. Gaming is not about sitting there being on the internet all day, you know what I'm saying? Chatting about something you don't like. That's what it's about to me. It's about gaming. I do the chatting because I'm enthusiastic about the platform and I want to reach others that might be enthusiastic about it as well. But as far as like, we're going to have some fun. Me and EA, we're going to have a good time next week. But as far as going around trying to convince people to like it, that don't like it, I'm not in that business. You like what you like. Ain't nothing wrong with it. You can't like, again, you can't be wrong for how you feel. It's just about how you apply it. Your opinion is your opinion, and that's what shapes you, it molds you. You know what I mean? But it's all about how you apply it to me. All right, folks, with that said, here he goes. He says, I can't stand you, Amador. Get the hell out of here. Get your ass out of here. He says, no, Stadia. It's not for me. Stadia is hardly for anyone at this point, and he says it's dead in the water. EA says, I can do 5 hours too. I'll be keeping my schedule. Oh, man. Oh, he ready. He ready now. He ready to get boot bop. He ready to get boot bop. No, we're going to have a great discussion nonetheless. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. It'll be something different too for the platform. You know what I mean? So, all right. With that said, I appreciate all of y'all. Thank y'all so much for your support. Love all of y'all. And until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful gaming day. Peace.